All right, you guys, today we're going to talk about your drape bowl. Okay, and a drape bowl is making a new bowl from a pre-existing form. So we're going to use some plastic bowls or whatever you can find. I've seen pie plates be used. They don't have to be round. They can be whatever shape you want. They will get covered by plastic. So hopefully that will be okay for you to use. All right, so a few things to think about when choosing your bowl. Okay, so if you have one like this that has a little bit of a ledge to it, you're just going to want to make sure you end that bowl right above it. Because if clay goes around it, you're never going to get it off. It's going to be really tricky. Another one that is tricky is one like this that has a deep kind of set foot. This one's about 1/4 of an inch down in there. And we're draping it over the top, that would be on the inside of your bowl and just not very good. So what you'd want to do is just take a little bit of clay. You're going to fill it in, kind of smooth it out, okay, like that. So just kind of get that, pack it down on the table, get rid of any excess, and get it smooth. Okay, tear off a small piece of your plastic bag, and you're going to place it over that wet clay. This is going to prevent that from sticking to the bag you're going to cover your bowl with. And so when it comes off, it's going to come off a lot easier for you because all of them will get covered with the bag. So you get that as smooth as you can and tuck it underneath. Yes, you're going to get a little bit of wrinkles on the inside, but we'll be able to smooth that out after. All right. So then we have a lot of different looks here we can go about doing with your projects. Okay, so this one used kind of a flat base to it, did cutout shapes while they added to it, okay? Here's kind of a smooth one. You can see that on this project as well, you're going to need to add a foot, and that's one of your other pages there to look at on creating a foot. So that one, they chose to do kind of a wavy top to it. Same with this blue one. You can see the fish. And here they just did kind of dots, round balls, mushed them out for the foot. This bowl here has what's called a flare. It means the top goes out, okay? You can kind of see that. And it used coils and just kind of mushed the ends to create it. All right, so it's your chance to get a pretty good size project and kind of have fun with it. So starting out, choosing kind of that bowl. So different ways you can get started, okay? Now, hopefully you already watched the video on rolling out clay, okay? Because you are going to need to work with nice rolled out pieces about 1/4 inch thick. Reminders though, of course, is to always roll out the clay from the center out, okay? Turn it over every now and then or it's going to be stuck. And as usual, you want this about 1/4 inch thick, okay? Now, next thing you'd want to do is just kind of smooth that out. So if you got some wrinkles and crumbs or anything else down there, okay, we want to get that kind of in there. Okay. And smooth out that clay. All right, so I got a little bit of a damp sponge. Even your rib is going to do a nice job at that. Okay, just kind of get that smooth, wrinkle-free. You might want to turn it over, check the other side, and see how that one is too. So you can see just kind of going through and getting that clay looking good. Now, here you have options too. You could take this whole piece right now and just drape it over, okay, and then just pat her down. This is what you would want to do for the flare top because you have that extra clay. Now, sometimes you got to scoot it over a little more. My aim wasn't so good there. So then you could see then down on these edges, okay, that you would get that flare, all right? Yes, you could also go and cut that. Another way of getting that started would be to, see if I can flatten this back out and reuse it, is cut maybe your shape out first. So if you are having a round bowl, maybe you want to get something larger than your bowl, okay? and get that cut out. So just kind of re-smoothing. So you can see there's just so many options for you to create a great project, okay? So again, this could be choosing something like this, cutting it out, okay, and then draping it over. And this is even actually a little big for it. So that's straight out drape. All right, some other options to it is having your bowl, and we can add other kind of cutout shapes to it. All right, so I cut out a bunch of little cookie cuttered shapes and got them kind of ready to go. And so with that, we would just make sure we score slip meld. And then you could see that these can drape beyond that, and that's not a big deal. So with that, you're gonna want your fork, okay, and slip. So remember, scoring, get a little slip. Okay, we wanna make sure it's gonna stay stuck, and I'm gonna do that to this part that's gonna be attached as well. I'm gonna go about halfway, so I'm getting that glued up about halfway, getting it on there. I always push from the center out to make sure you're not going to trap any air in there. And you can see there's little bits of like squishing out and that's just fine. That's where we use, you know, the little tools and stuff that you have to get in there. So a little wooden knife would be good, toothpick, what have you. I can see the corner of the sponge there worked pretty good. All that slip will go the same color once it dries. So just making sure that that's going to stay on there good. All right. And so I would just kind of continue on down the way. Now, if you are going to do cutouts on a regular kind of drape bowl, okay, you're going to want to cut or roll your clay out thinner than what you did your walls. So your walls are about 1/4 inch thick. For your decorations, you're going to want to go maybe about 1/8 of an inch or even a little thinner. If they're too thick, they stick out too much, and there's more chance of you knocking and breaking them off, okay? So you can see what I'm kind of doing here is getting them added. Gonna smooth out a little more. Okay, and you would just kind of keep going around. So that's kind of a different way of something similar to what I showed you with that bowl, okay? If you wanted to add, okay, any shapes to something like this, like I said, cutting out, that's where you would roll out your clay, and you can see I rolled this out pretty thin, okay? That way it's going to give you nice little cutouts. So if you can use the cutouts around, okay, that thin is going to make it easier to cut out. Okay, pop out your shape, but keep in mind when adding these is right now your bowl's upside down. So you got to make sure you get your shapes in the right direction. So once the bowl's right side up, okay, they're going to be the right direction. So that too, you would score, slip, and meld down. If you do not, these are going to pop off when they start to dry. Okay, so keep that nice and thin while you're working, okay? So whatever your style is that you like, all right, just kind of go. You can see I even have some larger ones behind me. One that's all cutouts. That's just your personal style of which way you want to go about doing this project. So just kind of have fun, keep going with it. I'm going to work on these a little more, and I'll come back and show you what